the fear of starting a new, at least for me, this show in a way that I've framed it here recently is that instead of going, the reason it's really scary and terrifying
Phails at philosophy
is that instead of going from company to company and sitting down across the table from HR and all these people and saying, can I have this job?
Right.
I'm kind of going to these cameras and saying, I'm going to do the job for a while. Do y'all want, can I have this job? And there's a real terror in the world at large, every human being saying, no, thank you. We don't want that. We're not going to vote for that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what is it you're offered when you're offered employment?
Well,
You're offered an experience in which your basic material needs are taken off the table for you.
Right.
As part of the contract.
Yep.
If you've got a good employer who pays you enough to take care of your needs.
The ones that I get are like that.
Right. That's, and I think it's a hard place to be. Like, I'm in a good place because I have an employer that I have that relationship with, and it's working for me.
Heck yeah.
I got here because there were moments where I was like, oh, I need to refocus and realign because that's where I need to go. Right.
Yeah.
When I worked at the bank.
Right.
Part of when I talk to people about that experience, I liked that job.
Yeah, I remember. If any of you guys want to know more about Grant's bank job, go to our original interview where he talks extensively about going to the bank on the weekdays and doing LSD on the weekends.
Right. Yeah. I had a good, I had a life that was working. I was paying my bills. I was having plenty of recreational experiences. I was blowing my mind and discovering the deep structures of the universe.
Spiritual time, time phoenix.
But I also knew it wasn't what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain that except that when I was doing that job, all I did was enjoy it. I didn't derive a sense of purpose and meaning from it. And then I shifted back into academic work. And there's other moments like where I was just like, 'cause the academic world is a crazy world. It's, it's a crazy core culture. And, I wanted to leave or thought I would go a different way. And each time I had to come back to it. So there are the moments I had to kind of like turn away from that. But I think I'm lucky in that what I wanted to do, there was that arrangement. That arrangement is great. That arrangement that allows you to have your basic material needs taken care of as not a day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
That is civilization, right? That is what it is to break into a way of being human that is not. And so, making a choice to engage in what is fundamentally an entrepreneurial enterprise is scary. I don't think everyone should do it, right? I think we over celebrate entrepreneurship in our culture. I think a lot more good is done by people going and doing their jobs than people leaving their jobs to do other things.
Right.
But
because it takes a team to do big things.
Right.
And so, a lot of big things need to happen socially.
And I think there's a lot of people who are like, I hate this job, who really just need to figure out how to like it. But that's not you.
Well, I'm a transgender person saying this is who I am.
Right.
You've got to accept me.
And the only warrant I have is that you tell me that.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And I trust you. And I think you're in a place to figure that out for yourself.
Yeah. As you tell this story of like wanting to go back to academia, how are we doing on time?
We got a few minutes.
I think back to like the way your mom was. And because she was, a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had this, it's like if a kid went to work at the bank, his dad was a lawyer, but he was like, I'm called to law school. Like there is this, I can make a jump of, the hand releasing was your mom being a teacher and you seeing the value and you seeing that way of life and wanting that for yourself.
Yeah. And my mom was not just a teacher. She was a passionate teacher. She strongly believed in it. Or she strongly
even
believes.
More so.
I mean, she's retired now, but she strongly believes in the value of education. And she embraced that,
And she probably
and she
when
talked
you
about it in the
yeah,
home. And so, yeah, I was raised to be an educator.
right.
Yeah. And so it doesn't, like, a certain level, it's that realization that I should be an educator was what was driving me, and why an educator, not an engineer like my dad. I love, like, I have
Your dad was never there because of the way that
to some extent, that's,
corporate
yeah,
it changed
right,
corporate. I know your
right. No, I mean,
so he wasn't there. Your mom was
there's
there, so she was more
there's some level of that.
a more consistent role model for you. And this all comes from a world where, as you're telling this story of moving from the bank to find your agency as a thing, and I'm going, well, is that free will or not? And then I'm thinking, well, let's think back to Grant's past and see what kind of influences he had. And then I get to like,
Yeah, I can tell a story which clearly, like, leads to that. That's fine.
and it's not negative. It's
Right,
not
it's not
good or
negative.
bad.
It's just, but that doesn't change that there's a fundamental level at which I have a realization that that's the direction I need to go. Whether it's because some internal part of me led me there, or because of the influence of my parents, I have that experience.
Yeah. You could have done something different. Or, well, that's the question we have.
Right.
Could you have? That's the question of free will is, could you have made a different decision? Could I make a decision to keep doing the software job? Could you have made a decision to keep working in the bank? And now in hindsight, obviously you couldn't.
Well,
because you didn't.
Not necessarily in hindsight. I think that's an error in mapping the past into possibility, because the choices we made are in the past. They're set.
Yeah, they're set. And some would say there's a million dimensions where every different choice point was made.
I like Loki too. It's a fun way to think about the universe.
I know, yeah.
So, like, but it's just possibility is something that exists now about the future, not about the past.
It's about the now.
So yes, I think at that moment in the past, I could have made any number of choices. That's no longer the case. I think
that's the question we have here.
I think that's hard.
Could you have made any number of choices?
Yeah, and I think so.
You're a libertarian.
Probably, yeah. Probably. I just really, I'm probably, I mean, if you're using
this, I'm a libertarian too.
I'm some sort of libertarian compatibilist, right? I think, I mean, determinacy is like clearly an explanatory way of understanding how things happen around us.
Right? I think I'm where you are.
Right.